Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. People often ask me why I begin every Meaningful Monday with those words, and I've told you a couple of times, but there's more to it now than I realized, so bear with me. The first time I ever did a Meaningful Monday was on January 7th of 2014. Just a few weeks later, I received an email from a strategic coach participant who I thought the world of. Anyway, his name was Greg Lipsitz. Greg had been diagnosed with esophageal cancer and was taking a break. He shared how his family had started gathering every Monday at lunch to watch the Meaningful Monday together and how grateful he was for that. And then he told me that his three sons had begun creating their own personalized Meaningful Mondays just for him every week. Now think about that. Difficult diagnosis became a gathering place for connection and love. A few months later, Greg's son, Max, called me and asked, would you be willing to come to Buffalo and do the Meaningful Monday live from our home? I flew in Monday morning. They hid me in the kitchen while a fake video introduction played on the screen. And as it said, coming to you live from Buffalo, New York, I stepped out from the kitchen and into the room. And I have to say that there was a lot of emotion there. And I'm an emotional person, so yes, family was stunned. It was a great moment. One of the things I remember most, though, happened just shortly after I'd come out. I'd asked each of the boys to share something they had learned from watching their father go through cancer. And one of them said, no matter how dad is feeling, whenever anyone asks him how he's doing, he always answers, I'm glad to be here. That moment changed me. Think about it. From that day forward, I begin every Meaningful Monday with, I'm grateful to be here, and I'm glad to be here. A couple of years later, in 2017, Greg passed away. But think about it. But for more than 600 Meaningful Mondays, Greg has still been with me. How do I stop saying that? It means so much to me, and I think to their family. But just recently, here's the other half to this now. Just recently, I read something about the Blue Angels. And what you may not know about the Blue Angels is how extraordinarily grateful every member of the organization is to be a part of the Blue Angels each and every day. And one way that they express this gratitude is by saying, glad to be here, when they greet each other or they greet other people. And that phrase is deeply embedded into their high performance culture. It's not as a slogan, it's as a mindset. And these elite pilots, think about it, flying only inches apart at hundreds of miles an hour, doing trips and flips and everything, use that mindset or that phrase to reinforce four things. One, pride, not pride in themselves, but pride in preparation. Two, trust in one another. Think of probably the world's most preeminent high trust organization. Three, belief in the mission. Definitely not in their paycheck, okay? Their focus is on the mission. And then four is honor for the team around them. As one former Blue Angel pilot said, he said, glad to be here. This mindset, glad to be here, expresses our joy, our awareness, and our readiness to perform at the highest level. Now, as I read that, I thought about Greg immediately. You see, Greg wasn't flying fighter jets. He wasn't a Blue Angel pilot, but he was modeling courage. He was teaching his family that gratitude is not dependent upon circumstances. You don't have to be grateful for everything, but you can choose to be grateful in anything. You don't have to be grateful for everything, but you can choose to be grateful in anything. And just maybe that's what glad to be here really means. It means that no matter what, I still have today. No matter what, I still have this moment. No matter what, I still have an opportunity to love or to serve, to grow, to forgive, to encourage and strengthen. Now, we're living in a world where there's plenty of wonderful things happening, but it's not present. It's not around us. We're not getting the courage that we like. What we're seeing is a world filled with pressure, with outrage, I think comparison, contention, contempt, and billions of dollars to get our distraction, our attention. What would happen? What would happen if more families, more businesses, more teams, more leaders like you and me carried the mindset, I'm glad to be here? Not because life is perfect, but because this moment still matters. I'm going to challenge this for this week. I'm going to make the challenge. The next time someone asks you how you're doing, before talking about or that's saying the traditional go-to answer, fine, or maybe talking about something that's wrong, just pause and simply say, I'm glad to be here. And then maybe you might say, I'm glad to be here, and let me tell you why, or let me give you one reason. That would even take it to another level. But even if you just said, I'm glad to be here, what would change in your life? What would change in my life if I truly lived that way? Thank you for being here with me today. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here with you. I look forward to seeing you next week. Live life meaningful. Bye bye.